everybody, it's your girl Vanity, and I hope you guys are all having a beautiful Sunday. I have to apologize for my absenteeness because I was on a beautiful vacation with my daughter. We went to Mexico, hence the tan. I have a very nice tan. I'm like 2 shades darker, but I'm loving it. It's beautiful. We went to Mexico for her spring break, so I didn't have a chance to do my review on episode 2 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, just because I've been so busy and then getting back into the swing of things. But I did have an opportunity to see episode 3 of season 6, and so I wanted to come here and chit chat with you guys about that today. Hopefully you guys have all had the opportunity, and so you can just, kind of relax and listen to me review it. Before I start, let me just say this. This episode wasn't that exciting. It was cool, but I was a little underwhelmed. I think that although I was underwhelmed, and I'm just curious about you guys and how you feel about it, I feel like this episode was setting us up for the trickle-down effect of what's to come. So I think it was a necessary episode. It was a lot of Tisha and Marcel. And I don't think we saw Maurice or Marcel in this episode. But, either way, let's just jump into the review. Let's start talking about everything. So I didn't get a chance to review episode 2, but I did see it. So I, did get a chance to see, the beginning part of the conversation with Kiki and Tisha. And so they're back and they're doing their little kickboxing thing, which I thought was hilarious because it almost seemed like they were competing with each other, or trying to show each other don't try it because I got hands, I got this, I have this strength or whatever. So that was kind of hilarious. But the episode picks back up and they're doing their kickboxing thing, and then they kind of just take a little breather, and then they're, talking about everything that, a lot has happened and has transpired with them from the last season. So they're kind of talking about all of that. And so Kiki, which I think is hilarious. Now, let me just say this. I'm curious on what you guys think about Kiki, because I'm not feeling Kiki. I'm really big on loyalty, and I feel like once somebody purposely works with my enemy to try to sabotage my reputation, ruin my marriage, I'm not fooling with you. So I don't know that I'll ever really like Kiki. I mean, stranger things have happened. I couldn't stand Candace from Potomac Housewives, and now she's my favorite. So I won't never say never, but I'm not feeling Kiki. Like I said, I'm really big on loyalty, and I don't like it. I think that there should be a line between how far you'll go for fame and money and fortune, and Kiki just doesn't have that line. But I mean, I don't want to, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say, because I don't want to put all recovered drug addicts in the same box, because it doesn't mean that because you are a recovering drug addict that you don't have morals. So I don't want to say that, but she just seems slimy. So I'm not here for Kiki. But anyway, Kiki has the nerve to kind of just tell Tisha, look, you weren't there for me. And, I just feel like you abandoned me in a way. And I think, this conversation was cool because we kind of got a lot of bit of the backstory behind what happened, and why Tisha felt like it was necessary to tell Melody about Kiki's drug addiction. But as they're talking, Kiki tells Tisha, I felt abandoned, and Tisha it revealed a lot. She said, well, number one, when you were on drugs, you just were out of it. You weren't the same person. You weren't the cousin that I love and that we got close. You were not that. She also says that there was an incident. There's 2 things that she said that really stood out to me in the conversation. For one, she said that there was an incident where Tisha was pregnant, and Kiki, they were arguing outside in front of her house, and she said that Kiki was like, well, F you and that baby. And it's what? Really, for all of you women, or any woman who's been pregnant, you know how sensitive that we are when we're pregnant. I have one kid, so I definitely understand. And then you're worried, so for someone to kind of wish negativity on your child while you're pregnant, like, I would have wanted to have hands, like, although you can't. But I'm just saying, like, that's not something to be taken lightly. Like, don't wish anything bad on my child that I haven't delivered yet. So that was one thing. And then Tisha says that after she had the baby, I guess Kiki came to the house. You get lots of visitors when you have a baby. And she said that this was poignant. And this is where I was like, okay, this is probably the bulk of, the distrust. She said that Kiki had stolen her pills, her pain medication that she was taking after you have a C-section. I have had a C-section. You're in a lot of pain after you give birth. You need your medication. It's very important. You can barely walk. You can't go upstairs, etc., etc. So we didn't know that. And it's crazy because I was like, dang, the last season I was kind of wondering, like, okay, was it necessary for Tisha to tell Melody? But if Kiki was literally stealing her medicine, and if she did that to Tisha, she probably had been going around family members and stealing medicine, then maybe it was important. They probably, and I don't think they were joking when they probably told Melody. They probably said, hey, look, just if you have any medication, put it up because, my sister she's known for taking medicine. And of course, that probably was I'm sure Melody had 11 questions. Like, what you mean she taking medicine? What the hell's wrong with her? Like, what's she doing? Like, and so that probably sparked a bigger conversation, but that's probably why Tisha and Marcel felt that it was prudent to tell Melody that. So it kind of makes sense. And that's really sad. If you're down bad to the point where you're going to take medicine from your cousin that just had a baby, it's almost like, well, what are you capable of? So, that I feel like that was really good backstory that we needed to know. It puts things into perspective of why they're at this point and why Tisha just didn't trust Kiki. And it also puts perspective on how bad the situation was with Kiki and how bad she was down. I mean, that's just pretty low for you to do that. So I'm glad that they had that conversation and that Tisha revealed that. So then, they're hashing it out and Kiki says she wants to move forward. And Tisha's like, look, I really want to move forward, but like, I can't trust you. I'm feeling, I just don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like, it's hurting me because on one hand, I love you. They seem like they had a really good relationship, like during their childhood and their teens and stuff, they were close. They're obviously close in age. So they grew up together. So I love you, but then it's like, I can't trust you because it's like, damn, there's so many things that you've done to me with ill intention. Like, I don't know if we can go back to that place. And it was sad to see because it seemed like Tisha, like, forget all this show stuff. Like, Tisha is genuinely hurting and she doesn't know what to do. And so it's just like, is it me? It just seemed like Kiki just don't get it. Either she genuinely doesn't get it and something's wrong with her, or she just is playing dumb and she doesn't want to admit to her wrongdoing. But in every scene, she just, girl, you was dead wrong for what you did. Like, whatever, Melody, we already know what Melody is capable of. Like, okay, and Melody doesn't have any allegiance to Tisha. That's not her family. But like, you stoop really low and you're not acknowledging that the complexity and the depth of how you probably hurt Tisha. She just won't acknowledge it, and it's very, very frustrating. So, they kind of talk about it and they decide like, okay, we're going to move slowly. We're going to ease into this and see where we go. And so I personally don't think it's going to last long. I also wouldn't do it. I mean, and I would be annoyed that Kiki's even on the show. It's like, girl, you did all of that and you're rewarded with a full-time position on the show. That is how I would feel. But, I mean, I guess it's never wrong to forgive someone, but you can't forget. And forgiving someone doesn't mean entrusting them the way that you did in the past. So hopefully Tisha recognizes that and she keeps that in mind. So, they have a little kumbaya moment. They kind of hug it out. And then Tisha is planning an event, so she invites Kiki to it. And so it's nice. It's like a olive branch. It's a nice gesture to the renewed relationship that they're going to work on. So we know how those renewed relationships don't always last long. So we'll see how that goes. So Marcel meets up with his dad. And I think that, they're from the D, from Detroit, and Marcel's dad comes down. They meet up at Black and they have cigars and stuff like that. I think this might be the first time we've seen his dad. His dad seems really cool. Seems very, very laid back, old player, real chill. But I don't remember, maybe on the first season when Kimmy and Maurice got married, maybe they showed their parents, but I don't remember seeing his dad before. So it's nice and refreshing to get a perspective on where someone comes from and why someone may behave in the way that they do, because a lot of things and ways that we behave, we inherit that from our parents, a lot of the characteristics. So it was kind of good to see his dad, and they had a conversation surrounding, his dad was just like, look, how you been doing? Like, have you been taking time for your family? Have you been relaxing? And his dad was like, look, it's important. You need to take time for yourself. I'm 50. I just went on a cruise for the first time, which, like, people are still going on cruises. I don't want to be judgy, but I know people are going on cruises still. But anyway, I digress. So he's just like basically saying you need to take time for yourself. And Marcel was like, well, I don't really have any days off. I have this project. I'm trying to do the best that I can. And his dad gave him good advice. He's like, look, before it's too late, you need to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I agree. I'm trying to do that now myself. And realizing, like, work is great. You got to work hard, but you have to definitely set time aside for your family, and you have to take care of yourself, and traveling is important. That's why, I try to every 2-3 months go somewhere, because, you learn a lot about yourself in the world by seeing different types of people and exploring different places and just getting out there, and it helps you learn about yourself. So travel is important. So hopefully Marcel takes his dad's advice. The work will always be there. So hopefully he, puts some of that down and spends time with his children, especially because I know that is something that Tisha has had an issue with him about every single season, about taking time out for her and the kids. And do it with, like, I'm just thinking about the fact that Marcel took a whole ass trip to Africa who goes to Africa alone and they got a whole family? Marcel, he was with somebody. I don't care what nobody say. He ain't go by himself to Africa. He was met up with somebody there. Anyway, so that was cute. That was nice to see, the scene with Marcel and his dad, and just to kind of get a little bit more information about where Maurice and Marcel come from. So Tisha meets up with Kimmy. Let me just say this. Kimmy is my absolute favorite. She's my soror. But beyond that, I love Kimmy because she's real. I like people that are real. And she's such a good communicator. Like, I promise in scenes, I'm very in tuned with Kimmy and the things that she says, and I study just how she says things, because she's probably one of the most effective communicators that I've ever seen. She's very succinct with what she says. She doesn't mince words, and it has a really good memory. You can never trip her up. She's like, no, I didn't say that. I said this. But she's just such a good communicator, and she sticks to the facts, and she's very objective about most things, and she's fair. And so I love Kimmy. For those, she's cool as hell. She seemed like she would be a real cool, fun chick. But I just love how she's such an effective communicator, and she's very, very fair, which is, you don't see that very often, especially on reality TV. So, but yeah, they meet up, and they're just kind of shooting the shit, just talking about everything, kind of like how Kimmy's doing. And so, she tells Tisha tells Kimmy that they meet up at a coffee shop, and she tells Kimmy that Marcel has a new business partner, and he didn't, tell her about that. So we'll get into this in a little bit because Tisha and Marcel have a separate conversation about it. But yeah, Marcel don't want to work with you, Tisha. He just doesn't. Like, that's, we see it over and over again. We know that you are the majority owner in Scolt, but like, he doesn't want to, I don't think he wants to work with you, which I feel like he should just say that. I don't know if how well that will work. I mean, just because you're married doesn't necessarily mean that you have to work together. I don't know. Y'all got to figure that out. But the actions of Marcel he's constantly showing in his actions that he does not want to work with you, and he doesn't really respect your opinion. So, Tisha, she's venting to Kimmy about that. He hired a new guy. The guy took her office space, et cetera, et cetera. So, Kimmy's just they're talking, and, Kimmy's giving her advice with how she should approach the situation. She's married to one of the Scott brothers, and she's kind of saying, look, well, this is how I approach things. Maybe you should try it. And so the thing I loved about it is Tisha was very receptive. She was like, okay, I agree. Like, I'm going to try to apply this, when I have this conversation with Marcel. So that was cool. So then Melody calls Kimmy. And so Melly's like, hey, Kimmy, how you doing? You know how Melody has that little annoying voice, and they're talking. And so Tisha's like, well, can I talk to Melody real quick? And Kimmy's like, Kimmy's kind of like looking around like, this would go really, really bad or really, really good. Probably really bad. But all right. So she kind of like reluctantly hands the phone over to Tisha. And so Tisha's like, hey, Mel. And it's funny because it's like a little bit of silence, and then Melody's like, hey. And she invites Melody. Tisha's, putting this spa day together, and she invites Melody. And surprisingly, like pretty quickly, Melody's like, sure, I'll come, just give Kimmy the details. And so, it was a pleasant conversation. Then she gives the phone back to Kimmy. And so Kimmy's like, I was surprised, which I was too. But I just feel like the beef with Tisha and Melody is not that deep. Is it just me? Like, I don't really understand like the cornerstone of like why they're really beefing. I feel like each have taken jabs about each other's marriage and like in the earlier seasons, but I never really, maybe it's just one of those situations where there's always somebody you just don't like, right? Like sometimes people just don't gel, and it is what it is. But I don't understand the beef. Like I don't get it. I've never understood it. It's stupid. So I guess it's good. I mean, hopefully, I would like to see them come back and, they don't have to be besties, but like, just get past the nonsense or whatever and like fix their issues and kind of so that they can at least attend events together, and it seems like that is what they're working towards. So
again, much like Kiki and Tisha, we'll see how long this lasts. But Melody accepts Tisha's invite, and so Melody's gonna come to the spa event, which is very interesting, as we'll talk about later. And then, Kiki's, one thing I will say, Lord, I keep mixing up Kiki and Tisha. My apologies, you guys. Kimmy says that she's finally starting to feel like herself, which is really, really good. Now, I don't know, in this episode, the last episode, she was saying she was about to have surgery. So I don't know if they didn't talk about that. If between the last episode and this episode, if Kimmy had already had her surgery. So I guess maybe, they'll fill us in on how her surgery went. I mean, in real life, obviously we know it went well because I follow her on social media, but I wasn't sure on the timeline of if she had surgery to this new episode. But she says she's starting to feel like herself, which is really, really good. So we wish Kimmy continued improvement on your health, and we hope that you never have to go through this. Cancer is terrible, and prayerfully this is it, and you are officially done with this cancer journey in your life, Kimmy. Okay, So Tisha and Marcel are spending time with their kids. Their kids are so cute. I didn't know they were so old, but I mean, I guess, they've been on what 5-6 years now. So I mean, kids, they get older. Because the oldest son, he looked like he was about 13-14, but yeah, so they're eating dinner with their kids, and it's a cute little scene. They're like having family time. And so, they get to talking, and sidebar, MJ, which I'm assuming stands for Marcel Jr., their oldest son looks just like Marcel. Like same smile, same language. Marcel can never be serious. So that was really cute. I would love to see the families with their kids. Like I love the Holt kids. Like the Holt kids are the best. They have like the best manners. So hopefully Tisha and Marcel show more of their children. But they're having a little conversation, and I forget what Tisha says, but then her son, what did he say? He made a comment. He said, Mom, I never let my spouse talk to me like that or whatever, which was, hilarious. He kind of like checked his dad, but Marcel's just always on joke time. Like half the time you don't know when he's serious or not, but it was just cute to see their son have her back. All right. And so, Tisha and Marcel go to the side. The kids kind of just, flutter out of the room, and they're just talking about gender roles, and they're both saying like, as a woman, you don't understand the things that I go through. And then Marcel says the same thing. Well, you don't understand as a man, my role and things, my responsibilities and all of that. And so Tisha's kind of like, maybe I don't. Like, I guess we have to do a better job with understanding each other. So then Tisha brings up the whole, like him hiring the gentleman to work for Scolt and not telling her, and then taking the office. And so, what's funny? Besides the fact that I don't think Marcel want to work with Tisha anyway, Marcel kind of made a good point that I agree with. He's like, look, you're the owner. Like, you're dealing with the ownership stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I'm the manager, or I'm the president. I'm dealing with the daily operations. Like, why do you want to get involved on the level of hiring and firing? And so when he said that, I was kind of like, he got a point. Like the owner of, I don't know, Google, he's not there. He has managers and stuff in place to do the hiring, the firing, all of these things, et cetera, give people offices. Like that's not something that you should even want to do. And so I understood that, but then I also understood Tisha when she's like, look, because it's not like you're running a multi-million, high million, billion-dollar company. I think they're making millions in their companies, but it's not that intricate of a company where they probably got a few, besides the people that work at a restaurant, they probably have a few people that are on the corporate level. Like, just keep me abreast of the things that are going on. I think that the problem is Tisha just wants to be in the know. Like, I want to know what's happening. And I think that there's a constant struggle that Tisha's always going to have, because Marcel, again, he doesn't want you to be involved in that stuff. And unfortunately, Tisha, I think that you're going to have this issue continuously, because I don't think Marcel wants to tell you. So, I don't know what their resolution is going to be on that, but yeah, I don't think Marcel really wants you to know the things. Like, Marcel is such a special person. I don't really know what to even say about Marcel. But yeah, Tisha, I don't know. I ain't got nothing for you for that, boo. I think that you're gonna constantly have an issue as long as you're in business with him. And I think, Tisha, you should start your own businesses outside of him. Like some things that have nothing to do with him. You're very smart. I really do believe that Tisha's very smart. I feel like you should have your stuff outside of him, because I feel like when you collaborate, there's going to be a constant tug of war over like him and his like ego of really letting you be involved. And that has to be frustrating. So hopefully you have your own side stuff that are exclusive or separate from Marcel, because I just don't think that this is it's going to be a never-ending battle between the two of you. So okay, moving right along, then we get to this
exciting part. Now, y'all, this scene at the spa, it was so much shit going on in this scene. Like, I was taking notes. I'm like, damn, it was just so many things going on. But anyway, so we get to the spa, and the girls all come in or whatever, and Tisha gives them like these really pretty little sexy silky robes or whatever, and has the girls change. Tisha says, you know, kind of before the event starts, she's telling Kimmy, like, you know, I'm a little bit nervous because I guess Tiffany revealed to her that, like, she's not feeling Kiki. And I'm not a big Tiffany fan either. You know what it is? I don't like off the rip. Tiffany came into the group, and I didn't like how she put Monster on blast. Because it's like, you have to be very sensitive. Don't talk about my kids. You can say whatever you want to say about me, but don't talk about my kids. So I don't know if that was season 3, I want to say, when Tiffany came on. Maybe 4, season 3 or 4 when Tiffany came on. And yeah, she was like talking about Monster vaping and all. I didn't like that. So I haven't liked Tiffany's. And Tiffany's she's not likable. She's just not likable. It's just her or her husband. Neither one of y'all. He's whack, you're whack, whatever. However, I was on Tiffany's side for this episode, so we'll talk about that. But anyway, Tisha is just saying, like, she's a little apprehensive about the situation because, you know, Tiffany told her, like, look, I'm not feeling your cousin because of how she has conducted herself in this group. She came in a group. She went to Melody's Christmas party with the sole goal of, like, outing Tisha and blasting Tisha and working and being in cahoots with Melody to, like, put all of Tisha's business on Front Street. And I'm with Tiffany. I'm with you when you're right. And Tiffany was right. You don't do that to your family. And so, you know, Tisha kind of has some reservations. She's a little nervous about how this is going to go between Kiki and Tiffany. Okay. So then, you know, it just wouldn't be right if Tiffany wasn't shady. So, you know, everybody's there. I think at this point, Stormy's there. Kiki gets there. Everyone's there at this point except Melody, and they're sitting down. And Stormy, which I really like Stormy. That's a sidebar. But Stormy is like, she's looking at Kiki and Tisha. She's like, dang, y'all really look alike. And so, what did Kiki say? Let me look at my notes. She says, oh, well, that's a good thing for Tisha. And then when she said that, you could just, Tiffany just sitting on ready, which she looks really pregnant, by the way. But she's like, did she just say, that's good for you? Like, Tiffany just wait. You know when you just irritated with somebody and they're around you and, like, anything they say is going to set you off? You could tell that's how Tiffany came into the situation. She was just, like, waiting for when Kiki would say something that would irritate her. So she's like, did she just say that? And so so Tisha's like, oh God, you always got something smart to say. So it was like a backhanded compliment. And you know, she was being smart but funny, but like trying to stick it to Tisha at the same time. And then this tickled me. Ooh, like I said, Tiffany, I was feeling Tiffany in this last scene. Tiffany puts a sock on her hand, and she's like, does this remind you of a puppet? Or what did she say? She says, would this be considered a puppet? I'm like, oh my God, girl. So then, you know what's funny? When she said that, you could tell that Tisha and Kimmy thought that was shade towards Tisha, but I don't think that was shade towards Tisha. I think that, in that moment, Tiffany was shading Kiki, like, you know, just about her, you know, bringing up the fact that she was Melody's puppet. I don't think she was trying to be shady to Tisha in that moment, even though it seemed like, because they're like, bitch, don't, you trying it, like, chill out, you know, and they're just like, oh, here we go. But I don't think that she was being shady to Tisha. I think she was trying to get at Kiki. Nonetheless, I enjoyed that. That was hilarious. Okay, and so then, you know, Melody arrives and, hey, y'all. You know, Melody always, she don't never be rich. Melody don't be wanting to be there, but she just goes to get her check. She's there so she doesn't get fined. And so she's kind of like, hey, y'all, how you doing? And whatever, giving the little, you know, the little hi that Melody always gives.
And then the owner of the salon, the spa, like separates them into 3 groups. Tiffany, Stormy, and Melody go into some sound bath, which, what the hell is that? Like, what is a sound bath? Is that like something for you to kind of like meditate? Like, I was like, what is a sound bath? Maybe one of y'all can explain that to me. So she separates them, and then Kiki, Tisha, and Kimmy, they stay in another room and they're getting massages. And then, so once they leave, you know, each group is kind of having discussions, and Tiffany, she's in there with Melody and Stormy, and so she's kind of like telling like Melody, look, I don't really trust Kiki. Like, I don't trust someone that would do that to their cousin. So, and she's like, well, you know, how do you feel about it, Melody? And Melody's like, I love everyone. I'm in here just enjoying the beauty of the place. And it's like, girl, you don't want to say nothing because you was a co-conspirator and abetted the situation, and you were the one that kicked off trifling this, so that's why you don't want to say nothing. But you know, Melody, you know, she kick you and then try to act like she didn't do it. Melody always tries to act like she doesn't have involvement in the things when she is the one who plotted and planned all the things. So she's like, I don't know. And so Stormy's over there, she's just looking, and Stormy's like, girl, she's like, in her confessional, she's like, if you don't want to talk about something, just say it. Like, Melody be playing games. She could have just told her, look, I don't want to talk about that, but she doesn't. But good old Tiffany didn't care. Tiffany kept pushing it, you know, and Melody was kind of like, well, I mean, she's a nice girl. She's a nice person. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, again, Melody will never admit that that was a plan, a scheme that Todd set up for the bullshit. Like, she'll never admit that. So she's just kind of acting, you know, she's doing the Melody, acting like nothing is going on. And so in the other room, Kiki, Tisha, and Kimmy are having a conversation, and, you know, Tisha's kind of like, they're giving Kimmy an update, like, okay, you know, we kind of talked through our issues. We're trying to move forward, whatever. And then Kiki's like, but, and it's like, oh shit, what's going on? She's like, Kimmy, you know, I feel like you instigated it. And I feel like instead of trying to help us get to a better place, you made it worse. And so Kimmy's like, excuse me? And she's like, well, what the hell are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I feel like, you know, you took this information, basically like you snitched on me. Which, why would Kimmy not? Tisha's her girl. She don't have no allegiance to you. Why would, damn right I'm gonna, matter of fact, I would have been in the room like, girl, they over here talking about you. You know, and Kimmy did what she checked it in the moment, and she told Tisha, like, don't trust them hoes because they're over here talking about you. So Kiki, you can't be mad at Kimmy for that. Tisha is her girl. She loves Tisha, like, she has a relationship with her. She's gonna let her know, and that's what you're supposed to do as a real friend. That's not her instigating nothing. You didn't have no business. And Kimmy said this, why you carry your ass over to Melody's house? You didn't have no business going to Melody's house. You shouldn't have been there in the first place. You her cousin, and Tisha's beefing with Melody. Why are you there? And so, of course, you know, Kiki's hemming and hawing and making excuses. She never takes accountability for anything, which is so frustrating. If Kiki had been like, you know what, I'm trying to get back at you and I'm sorry. I was wrong, but that's what I was doing. I can respect that. I don't like it, but I can respect that more than you continuing to act like you didn't do anything wrong. So then Kiki's like, well, actually, Stormy was the one who brought it up. I didn't bring it up. And so clearly the walls were very, very thin because Stormy heard her name and she's like, excuse me, one of these hoes is in here talking about me. So the 3, you know, Stormy, Tiffany, and Melody go into the room. And, you know, Stormy says, hello, you rang, I'm here. Like, what are you guys talking about? And so Kiki, you know, just tells them, like, look, we were discussing the events that happened at Melody's house, you know, and, you know, that's why we brought your name up because, you know, I feel like you brought it up. And so Kiki's like, you know, and also she directly addresses Tiffany, and she's like, you know, Tiffany, I heard you basically, you got issues with me, like, what's going on? And so Tiffany said straight up, she's like, yeah, like, I'm not feeling you because of the things that you did. Like, you was shady. That's your cousin. You don't do that to your family. You know, but she said straight up, like, friends, they come and go, but your family's your family, so you need to have loyalty. You knew the situation between Tisha and Melody, and you still decided to do what you did. So she was like, yes, I don't like that. And so Kiki's like, well, you don't know what the hell you talking about. You just talking and you don't know what you talking about. And Tiffany was like, actually, I always know what I'm talking about. And one thing that I know is that you shady as hell. And so, you know, they're going back and forth and getting spicy with each other. And then, you know, the episode kind of goes off. And then, well, the whole time, like, Stormy's like telling Tiffany, you know, relax, girl, you pregnant, chill. But that didn't. Tiffany was fussing and getting at Kiki, which she should have. Kiki needs to know, and she knows she's wrong. So, and then the episode kind of goes off, but you could tell that they were like setting this up for, you know, the little issues that are going to be springing up between Kiki and Tiffany. Tiffany is off the chain. If there's one thing, you say what you want about her, but she's gonna say what she feels. And her timing is always bad. Like, she has the worst timing ever. You know, timing is something that I try to work on, but like Tiffany has bad timing. So, you know, it'll just be interesting to see, you know, how this little beef, quote unquote, develops or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it on the episode. You know, this episode wasn't as exciting. I'm excited again. I love Sheree. Sheree's going to be coming into the fold at some point. That's what I'm waiting for. And Tiffany tries to get at Sheree, which, you know, Sheree don't play that. So I'm excited for that. But anyway, so that is it, you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And I will definitely be back to review episode 4 next weekend. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. See you guys later.